Let's bring in House Assistant Majority Leader and Lanao del Sur Representative Zia Alonto Adiong. He joins us today on Morning Matters. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you
Hindi ko po alam kung matatawa ako kasi... Pero kayo po ay nagsabi na parang medyo ludicrous itong see their names. Bakit naman hindi ka panipaniwala?
Kasi
Marian Rivera and Shell Jokno were recipients of this.
Because there's already the precedents during when the time we had the investigation sa good government, we already saw mga hindi kapanipaniwalang mga pangalan. I mean, we have unearthed some documents, acknowledgement receipts, na merong same names but different signatures. Meron namang same signatures but different names. And there are names also that, parang isang restaurant, isang chicheria. And so when the names Shell Jokno and Marian Rivera came out, it reinforces that the questions na whether these people are really do exist or whether these are made up characters. And so that's the reason why we had to request the assistance of NBI and PSA to be able to really verify whether these names whether these persons really do have these names.
How many ARs are we talking about here?
That's about,
that you're looking into?
Well, it's about, I forgot the exact number, but it's in thousands.
Madami. So
Marami talaga siya because it covers the confidential funds, the utilization of the VP, Office of the Vice President, and the Department of Education when she was then the secretary of that department. So it covers a lot of acknowledgement
so you're looking
receipts.
into all the ARs
We
of
have
confidential
to verify.
funds for both offices.
Yeah, but that's because of the ICFAO din This is also brought about, well, essentially because of the notice of disallowances, right? And according kasi sa joint circular, there's a way to really verify, and once you submit kasi a confidential funds, for example, a recipient for the confidential funds, sinasabi kasi nila these are all code names kasi you have to protect the identity.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. And
but who is that authentic list with?
That's exactly the question that we want to find out, because according to the joint circular, even if you have like code names to protect the identity of the informant, you have to have a documents that would really say that these code names are being used by this person with these real names. So that should be.
You haven't gotten a hold of that document.
That's supposed to be submitted to ICFAO.
To
ICFAO. This is the division where. Under the Commission on Audit. This is exactly the division where the confidential funds are being audited. So may separate talaga siya na division under COA.
Have we tried to get a hold of them?
That's the report of COA kasi wala ngang acknowledgement receipts lang ang natanggap nila. So they don't know whether Kokoy Villamin or Mary Grace Piatos or Shell Jokno or Marian Rivera, they don't know exactly whether these are code names or these are real persons. That's why because of the detachments are simply missing.
What is the plan to verify their authenticity? Para na malalaman kung forged yung signatures?
I guess the PSA and the NBI have that capacity to verify, to do forensic examination on signatures and specimen of signatures. So remember during the the early days of the investigation and inquiry ng good government, we have already required the assistance of NBI and PSA to do exactly that. Because it's really hard for us, and for the COA, sila nagsabi, it's really hard for them to really know whether these names do have, first, whether these names really do exist. I mean, the persons with those names. Secondly is whether these names or these persons have indeed received certain amount from the confidential funds, whether they are informant or the department or in this case OVP or DepEd had purchased the information. Kasi dalawa kasi yan You have the purchase of information and the reward for the information gathered. So, yun ang
At
gustong
kung
malaman.
anong impormasyon.
And kung anong impormasyon ang nakuha.
Oo. But will this be the primary evidence in the upcoming impeachment trial? Itong mga resibo na ito.
Yeah, yes. They are part of the, they're one of those verified articles of impeachment that we have approved and submitted to the Senate. I guess on June 2, they will present the verified complaints by the prosecution
With
team.
the evidence that you have, are you confident of a conviction? Because we do know that there was an overwhelming vote in the House for the impeachment, 215 signatures, but it's a different dynamic in the Senate with the current composition and with the showing of the Dutertes in the elections.
Yes, yes.
There are those who say that an acquittal is more possible. Are you confident with the evidence?
We're conscious with the evolution on how this the narrative, the discussion is developing. Because we understand that the case, the impeachment court is not entirely legal.
It is
but
political
also as
in
well as
terms of
political.
exercise.
Yeah. We do understand that senators, some of them have already signified their dismay. Their frustration. Some of them even displayed dismay. That has already displayed yung pagiging dismaya nila, because of what we have did in the House.
What would be crucial, do you think, to get it to a conviction, to get the numbers?
Well, I do personally. I personally do. I'm still optimistic and do expect that the Senate, as an institution, will take in a impartial stand on the matter. That they will judge the impeachment proceedings based on the merits of the evidence that will be presented by the prosecution. So I guess once the impeachment trial starts, public perception may sway towards different direction. So I'm really optimistic that with the evidences that we have by the prosecution, things will be unfolded in a way that people would now realize that this issue that we have right now is not really directed against a single person. It is about upholding what the Constitution says, upholding the principle that no one is above the law, and holding anybody, especially in the government, accountable for his or her action.
Speaking of public sentiment, there are those who say that this is politically motivated because of the point that you are just looking into the office of the Vice President. At meron din namang confidential funds. Yung iba, katulad ng Office of the President na mas malaki pa nga.
Yes.
And yung iba pang opisina na tinatanong mo kung bakit may confidential funds sila. What would you say to that? I mean, isn't the House supposed to be opening up also the conversation on those ARs and other offices?
Just to be fair, any offices that enjoys the confidential funds should be should not be free from any scrutiny, from the House or from the Senate, for that matter. But the issue here is that it's the COA that says that there are certain
notices of disallowances.
Yeah, there are violations that were committed by this agency. It's not really the House of Representatives or any institution, for that matter, that came out with these reports. And so, if you're discussing about any other agencies, if there are allegations of misuse, allegations of abuse, then I'm certainly 100% would support any form of inquiry to that agency.
Pagdating sa trial, would the COA serve as the primary witness?
I suppose probably, but I cannot give you a firm answer to that question because, number one, I do not want to preempt what would the strategy of the prosecution team.
Handa na.
I'm sure because we're talking about public funds, and so the only agency that is tasked by the Constitution, in fact, the Constitutional Commission, ang COA, diba? Constitutional body, is the one that has that mandate, has the obligation to audit public expenses, is COA. So if for example, it came to a point where the discussion centers on the utilization of the confidential funds as brought about by the acknowledgement receipt, so probably yes, as we have seen in the previous impeachment trials of the late CJ Corona, where BIR was also requested to attend as a witness to the impeachment trial of CJ
Wala
Corona.
naman
So
sigurong uupo na nakatanggap nitong conflict funds unless maglalakas loob.
That's part of the discussion, I guess, once they will present the evidence and their by the prosecution to the Senate convening as an impeachment court. Yeah, that would depend on how they would discuss the evidences, the presentation of their witnesses.
Well, the president has distanced himself from this impeachment. Sinabi niya he never wanted it in the first place. But he also confirmed in an interview that there were discussions with the Speaker and the House leaders on the impeachment. Ano nga ba yung mga plano? And pati yung anak niya was the first to sign. How do we believe his statement that he did not want this in the first
Well,
place?
from the very beginning, the president has been consistent with his position. Remember when he was asked, ambush interview, sabi niya, ang description ko niya is it's a storm on a teacup. That's how he describes it. So he's been very consistent with his position that he does not want to get involved directly. Malacanang does not want to get involved directly with impeachment. No? And I do agree with him. Previous couple of months ago, I was also asked the same question, and I said we should insulate the office of the president from the impeachment trial because we don't want to have the impression that the Malacanang is putting all its weight to pressure these senator judges.
Pero sinabi rin niya na sa anak niya na do your duty. Tapos ngayon, it might seem that he is taking a step back. Kumakambyo dahil sa resulta ng halalan.
But his son is a congressman. He represents a certain district in Ilocos Norte. And he do understand the separation of powers. And it is actually the duty of the congressmen, members of the House, to file for an impeachment court when there is a concerned group or citizens. Anybody can actually file for an impeachment trial against any public official, impeachable of officers, no? Kasi non-numerated naman yung mga officers na po pwedeng impeach. And so may nag-file may nag-file ang church religious group. There are also several CSOs that have filed, individuals, citizens, who have filed for an impeachment case against Sara Duterte.
Pero posible ba yun na pipirma yung anak niya na walang approval ng tatay niya?
Actually, I do not know the dynamics, the family dynamics.
Pati ang house usually hindi gumagalaw na walang approval ng presidente.
But I do not know the family dynamics. I cannot answer that. But ako, I laud Congressman Marcos because he has stood his ground. He has
President, you mean? President Marcos?
Yeah, and Congressman Sandro Marcos, because that you would know kung na hindi, kumbaga, they respect each other's position and they respect each other's role as the one as president, the one that heads our bureaucracy, our government. And Congressman Marcos as a representative of his people with that duty given to him by the Constitution.
To be honest, some others hope that the president would take a firmer stance on this because it might also make it seem that he's flip-flopping, imbis na parang to fight against corruption, to strengthen his stance against that, and baka maging lukewarm, no? Yung trial dahil hindi siya tumindig.
I look at it in a different way, angle, no. I see Malacanang give separate respecting the separation of powers. Isn't it that the thing that we all expect to see from the president that heads a separate branch of government? So yun ang tingin ko eh. I think he respects the institution, both chambers, and they would allow how the Senate would appreciate the case and give them the discretion to either to acquit or to convict based on their own judgment on how they would appreciate the evidences that would be presented by both the defense and the prosecution.
The House will send its prosecution panel.
Yeah.
What would be the role exactly in the trial?
Well, they will present the evidence, they will prosecute, they will they will have...
Sila ang ano talaga?
Yes. Sila yung
Magta-try.
silang magta-try daw. Sila yung magbibigay ng mga ebidensya. Sila magsasabi na ito yung mga kasalanan. And yun naman, in defense naman na magsasabi na...
Do we expect the Vice President to show up?
I don't know. I really couldn't say. No? That would entirely depend on how the defense would do their strategy. Whether that could probably her presence could probably boost their chances of acquittal.
Really?
Then yeah, that would
Do we have an
entirely
idea
depend.
who their defense would be?
Doon hindi ko rin alam.
Wala pang
Yeah,
update
wala
doon.
pa akong update.
Although
kung
the
sino
Vice
yung
President has said she wants a bloodbath.
Oh. Okay.
How do we
Yeah.
expect the proceedings to go? I mean, for those who probably are not so aware of how impeachment goes.
I guess the senators want to see evidences and not really blood spilled on the Senate floor. No? I guess what we want to see really are facts and evidences, real documents that would prove all the individual complaints. That's what the Filipino deserve and the public deserve, to know really the truth. This is a constitutional obligation of both chambers, the Senate and the House. And so we hope that we do not see anything that would turn sideways, na magkakaroon pa ng sobrang yun nga sinasabi mo, sobrang patuhan ng
In the
hindi
event that
magagandang
there
salita.
is an acquittal, could this case be pursued legally through our courts?
I guess so, because the impeachment court is a separate with the penalty of perpetual disqualification. There's no there's no jail term naman doon so it's simply kumbaga, the person holding the office will no longer be fit to continue serving with the penalty of perpetual disqualification from holding public office.
What if the Vice President resigns before any conclusion is met?
There are several legal opinions that says that it can continue on because this voluntary resignation does not necessarily equate into perpetual disqualification. The case of the impeachment trial, once the person is found guilty, the penalty would be perpetual disqualification.
So pwedeng may
if
nagsasabi na pwedeng ituloy yung
There are
trial.
legal, there are lawyers who say that should continue on. Because
But
the
who
penalty,
will decide? Who will decide on that? Is it
sorry.
the Supreme Court or is it also the Congress? Kasi parang pag pinag-decide mo yung Supreme Court at hindi sumunod itong Congress natin or House of Representatives natin, hindi ba magkakaroon ng constitutional crisis naman doon?
the impeachment the impeachment issue naman is granted to both chambers, the Senate acting as an impeachment court. So it's a separate trial. I don't see in any way how the Supreme Court may intervene insofar as the court proceeding is concerned and how the actual trial will be conducted. No?
Before we get there though, before we get to the more advanced stages, there is a question over jurisdiction.
Oh, yeah.
At kung mapapasa itong usapin na ito from the 19th to the 20th Congress, how do you expect to hurdle that challenge first?
Well, our position, there are several legal opinions, interpretation. Our position, if you ask me, my position is that the Constitution is clear that the Senate will try, the House will prosecute. Meaning to say, it speaks about the institution and not necessarily the members of that institution. No? So The Senate naman is continuing body, no? And in that the Constitution says that the impeachment, the lower house will impeach the official, and then once the House impeaches a certain official, then the Senate will try it for trial. So para sa
Confident naman
akin,
kayo.
it's not really tied with the actual members of the Senate, but the Constitution speaks about the Senate as an institution.
On a final note, there are rumors of a leadership shakeup in the House. Kinonfirm sa atin ng Liberal Party na tumawag sa kanila ang Office of the Speaker to join the supermajority, pero dininay naman nila na meron ng silang mga miyembro na sumali. What would you say to that? At sino yung pinakamalaking challenger ng House Speaker?
Sa ngayon, si Speaker lang talaga yung nakakuha ng 280 plus support.
Hindi ba si Pulong?
Wala akong narinig na meron talagang officially na nagsabi na tatakbo siya. Although narinig ko na rin sa balita na parang inuudyok siya ng kanyang kapatid na tumakbo na Speaker. So far wala pa naman. But what I can tell you, Gretchen, is that 200 plus members of the House who already signified their support for Speaker Martin Romualdez as the Speaker for the 20th Congress is more than enough to be confident about the retention
Okay,
of
meron po
Speaker
kasi
Martin
nagsasabi
Romualdez.
na kaya hindi naging maganda yung resulta ng halalan para sa administrasyon ay dahil nga hindi nasagot ng government itong issue sa budget. That was, of course, stemmed from the discussions over in the House, and the Speaker also presided over. What would you say to that? I mean, you express confidence in his leadership, but also may nagsasabi na baka ito yung dahilan kaya hindi naging maganda yung approval rating ng Pangulo.
There are several reasons, no? Kasi alam mo naman pag election, talagang hindi mo ma-predict ang pulso ng taong bayan. In fact, ang mga surveys nagsasabi ito yung papasok sa Magic 12 pero hindi rin pala pumasok. We can venture into guessing games kung what are the reasons, but there are plenty. And probably one of the things that came out from this election is one, you cannot really predict what's going to be the result of the election. Number two is that anything that can probably help the public in gauging what are the priorities of a certain administration, whether they approve that or not, they do reflect that in the way how they choose their leaders. So yun ang dalawang alam ko. But I agree with you, that could be one of the reasons why. But since as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, we followed what the Constitution says. We have meticulously assess all the proposals, the budget proposals, not only for this year but even those previous years. The process by which we have concluded the proposal, I mean the approval and the deliberation of the budget, 100% 100% na compliant with the rules and what the Constitution says. Whatever are the concerns and are the challenges before the court, I personally could not speak about that because it's sub judice principle. It's already pending before the Supreme Court. So I guess on the case of how the House of Representatives manages to deliver its commitment in its mandate as according to the Constitution, we did that in the previous years so far as approving the budget is concerned.
Abangan din namin ang final report mula sa Quad Committee, TRICOM at pati Committee on Good Governance this June 30. By June 30.
What do you mean?
By the end of the
before
the 19th
Yes,
Congress.
before the end of the 19th Congress.
Okay, maraming salamat for your time today and for sharing with us your point of view. We have a House Assistant Majority Leader and now the Sur Representative Zia Alonto Adiong.